are holes.
Don't stop the sentence like that. Like, don't just stop at the end of holes.
There are holes on the filter thingy on the mic.
The mic.
Stop it. I'm gonna have to censor that.
You guys know
too early on in the episode, YouTube's gonna jump our throats.
Oh, come on. Vagina, vagina, vagina. Penis, penis, penis.
This bitch.
I'm just testing the waters.
I swear to God. You guys, you know what? I should force her to edit these. So she has to bleep it all out.
I know this is like overdone, but we should do an episode where I get to edit and narrate a video that you're doing. You know how people do like the makeup thing? Actually, that would be funny too, because you already know how. Guys, one time me and Lisa spent an hour because I made her swatch all her makeup on my hand, like up to my arm, because she was like, oh my God, they're so glittery, you can make it glitter like that. Yeah, like I'm not really like, I don't really wear that much makeup and know much about makeup, but I was shook. Like, did y'all know there's glitters that look like it's wet? I'm sorry, that sounded disgusting coming out of my mouth. I'm sorry, but like, you know what I mean? Like, you swatch it, right, and it like looks wet. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, like it's so sparkly and so like shimmery. It's shimmer. Sparkle is like when it's separate.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
shimmer it's when it's like
it's
actually
like
looking like
smooth.
it's fucking smooth.
And then
like,
you're like glitter is when it's like the bigger pieces of sparkles.
Anyway,
we're back.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
We're back for another one. It's episode 4, I believe. You know, it's actually, we were talking about how we were going to talk about the experience of going to the gallery last time, and we're going to keep it brief because not much happened. We just went in and like, it was Diwali too.
Yeah.
Like Diwali celebration.
The Diwali celebration actually saved it for me. I'm not going to lie.
Same.
Yeah.
Because we got to go and like use big stamps.
Yeah.
To like make like a little card for yourself where you can like stamp it.
Yeah, I forgot. There was a proper name for it. It started with an R. Forgot. Sorry, guys.
I don't know, but some of you will know.
Yeah.
Some of you will tell in the comments. But basically, yeah, we got to do that. It was really cute. And
we had drinks.
We had drinks. We went to see this. Let me see what it's called.
It was actually a lot more fun than I thought it would be, or from the last events I've been to. There were definitely some people that were there that were literally like cartoon characters to me, like those girls in the washroom. That was insane.
Oh yeah,
they just like did not seem human.
Yeah, it was some people were really weird because I think that this is an event that, compared to the event that I went to last time, this event seemed to be like, I think it was a party specifically, like they were saying that it was called a party. And last time when I was going there, it was an opening of exhibition season, so it was a bit different, and there was more like people who are in the arts, like working professionals. This time there was a lot of like locals.
Yeah. I think a lot of the people, it seemed like, from me eavesdropping as I do, it seems like there's a lot of people who like spend money, like give money to the gallery that were there.
Yes.
Yeah, like I don't know, like contributors, members, or whatever.
I think it's members, and also like, but you know what? The members that were there last time, I don't know, it was a little bit less crowded, first of all, last time when I was there. Second of all, there were sliders everywhere. You could eat.
Yeah, I miss the food. It was having like the free drinks was amazing though. Like,
yeah,
I enjoyed that part.
Yeah. But basically we went and we saw this Firelei Báez. How do you pronounce that?
Báez?
It's B-A with like a thingy.
Yeah.
And then E-Z.
I think she's like South African. Or, yeah.
No.
Dominican. Sorry. So if anyone can tell us how to pronounce that, that'd be great.
I'm going to try and pronounce it. So it's going to be Firelei Báez.
Yeah.
In any case, so the quote from the artist is, "My works are propositions meant to create alternative pasts and potential futures, questioning history and culture in order to provide a space for reassessing the present." First and foremost, the artworks were interesting. I did like the style of this artist and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I did like that she's basically using a lot of maps of like colonial forces of the time, and then kind of basically reassessing and rethinking that colonial history from a perspective of someone who is Dominican from an African diaspora.
Yeah.
What I didn't like about it wasn't the works, it was the curation.
Yeah, the curation was the written statements.
So it's organized by the Institute of Contemporary Art, Boston. This exhibition is the first mid-career survey of this artist. One of the most exciting painters of her generation, she delves into the historical narratives of the Atlantic Basin. The issue as to why we didn't like fuck with the creation was the statement that was at the entrance, which was really fucking weird because let me actually read it to you because I took a picture of it since it's not on the website.
Yeah, it was like funny because we were both reading it in silence, like me and Lisa separately,
And the faces were just like,
Like,
oh.
when we both got to the end, we like looked at each other side eye. We're like, did you find that weird?
Yeah, we were like,
hmm?
how did we end up here?
Yeah, we're like, wait. It was like going so well. It was going so well.
Going so well because the thing is, we first, you know what? It was really a backwards experience because we went in from the wrong entrance. And because it's not like the way that our gallery, like the Vancouver Art Gallery, is organized, you basically can enter from the end of the exhibition or the front, kind of, you know, but it doesn't really matter per se. Like they kind of set it up in a way where you can wander in from either end.
Yeah.
And my problem with it was that we kind of went through the exhibition, looked at the works ourselves.
We're like, oh, this is
we were like, oh, so this is like a Black female artist talking about the effects of colonialism.
Yep.
And kind of basically kind of inserting yourself in those maps as the centerpiece instead of like being kind of this like secret history.
Yeah.
Being at the forefront of it.
Yeah.
We were like, okay.
Yeah, it was like kind of badass.
Yeah,
you know?
we were like, okay, so then our gallery is doing something here.
Yeah, and it was like,
hello.
And visually, it was beautiful, like the colors. And
The
like,
colors,
so
it was
vibrant.
really nice to
Yeah.
walk into a gallery and actually see fucking color. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm so fucking tired of the white box.
It was really refreshing, honestly. You know, it's like for years and years of seeing the Emily Carr floor, that was truly a step up. Like it was refreshment for my eyes.
Dude, I'm so tired. Like every single time you go to the last floor of Vancouver Art Gallery, it's fucking Emily Carr.
Yeah.
Emily Carr.
Yeah.
And I know that people love her here. I just I can't quite. Why do they? Do you know?
If you do love her, I question you.
Okay.
She's not to be loved.
So, okay. Because I was like, I don't get it.
People love her because she was like one of the first Canadian artists to have artworks regarding the Indigenous people in Canada, but she was such an appropriator.
That's what I thought.
She is. She literally
Okay.
gave herself an Indigenous name. And like she was the first transracial, yo. She was actually like she was really like it was just like, why are you catfishing Indigenous right now? You are the whitest woman.
That's what I thought, because I was like, when I was in class and we were like talking about her in one of the classes, I was like, this low-key sounds like she just took their style.
Yeah, well,
and
like
talked about their culture and painted their culture.
Yeah.
And that's it. And we kind of talked about it before, that it's very similar to those men who went to this like islands and were taking pictures or painting them and whatever.
Yeah,
so
like,
it's like not a good thing.
Yeah, like Picasso, like going to like Tahiti or something.
No, Tahiti. I think
It's
that was
Gauguin. It's
Gauguin.
Gauguin,
Yeah.
sorry.
And like I
Why
genuinely.
do I always think that's Picasso?
Because they were working, like they had some things that were very similar in the way that they approached it.
Naked
women taking shit from basically people who have nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Emily
Anyway,
Carr was that babe. Like I
Okay.
think like in her earlier years, people were like, "Oh my god, she's so radical." Like she like lived with the Indigenous people, like they accepted her in and stuff. But over time, she like truly was like, she became a full-fledged like appropriator. She's like, yeah, I'm indigenous now. I'm giving myself an Indigenous name. Like, no, girl, no.
okay, so I was right, because I was always like, why do people like her so much? I especially don't get the group of seven.
Oh,
Okay, all right, bitch.
And
But specifically like her, I was like, you can't be for real.
Yeah.
What's going on?
and quote me if I
I think that there's probably going to be some people who are going to be like, no, she was actually not an appropriator or something like that. And I don't really give a fuck whether, honestly, I just don't give a fuck about her work in general. It does not speak to me.
yeah, it doesn't speak to me.
It doesn't
either.
speak to
It's
me
quite
at
boring.
all. And that's mostly why I hate that the entire fourth floor is always filled with her works. And the same shit over and
Yeah.
over again. The trees
I'm tired of tree art.
just like being like really like wiggly.
Yeah.
And it's like, bitch, if you're painting trees, I need you to rethink it again.
Yeah.
Because like it's okay to paint trees as a hobby. If you want to get paid for that shit, I need you to sit down.
Yeah.
For a minute.
I agree. Don't give me that boring work.
Like, if you like nature and you want to paint it, all power to you. This is like normal human behavior. But if you want
Or
to
tax dollars?
tax dollars or dollars from anybody for painting a tree,
Sit down.
yeah.
Sit down.
Anyway, so the writing on the wall was, and again, you guys get ready because at first it's like normal and then it gets freaky. So this is the first North American survey exhibition of Dominican American artist Firelei Báez. In her monumental paintings and installations, Baez creates fictional worlds that explore the legacies of colonial rule across the Americas and the African diaspora, in the Caribbean and far beyond. Presenting one of the leading voices of contemporary art today, this exhibition features significant examples of Baez's drawing, painting, and sculpture and installation made over the last 2 decades. Baez's exuberant, colorful artworks contain complex and layered uses of pattern, decoration, and abstract gestures along symbols rooted in Afro-Caribbean cultures. She overlays paints on colonial maps and architectural plans from the 17th through 20th centuries to challenge our understanding of acknowledged power and suggest alternative histories. To create her rich worlds, Baez draws on folklore, fantasy, science fiction, and mythology. The figures who dominate her paintings are not easily
Identifiable?
Thank you. Identifiable, and seem to hover between human, animal, and mythical beings. Her often feminine subjects can be understood as free from fixed historical categories, as symbols of both struggle and renewal. With a commitment to storytelling, Baez expands her narrative paintings into an immersive scale. Visitors are invited to step into the artist's imaginative installations included in this exhibition. Ultimately, Baez's process of intervention is not one of obliteration, but rather one of recalibration.
I did not like that. This is where we both were just like, pause.
You guys know you're talking about slavery, right?
Yeah.
You guys know that, right?
And
Just so you guys, okay, let me tell you what it sounds like, all right? It sounds like the curator is like talking to a white audience, starting there. Let's start there. It sounds like they were like, I'm going to assume you're white, and I'm going to tell you that don't worry, they're not trying to obliterate. They're
not
trying
trying
to
to attack-
recalibrate a little.
She's
Just a
not
little.
trying to attack you guys. She's not trying
She's
to do
saying
that.
slavery is okay.
She's just
She's saying that she wants to recalibrate it a little.
yeah,
Like, that's what it sounds like.
it was just.
Hello?
It was like she had to put how I pictured this in my brain. This sentence, this last sentence, which is like to end the statement like that is fucking insane.
That's what I think too. Like, the entire thing is like, okay, and then it ends with that.
That is like, recalibrating colonialism.
She's not trying to obliterate, you guys. She's trying to just kind of recalibrate.
Yeah, it literally made me think visually. I just imagined the curator and an audience full of boss babies, like from the movie Boss Baby, and her putting pacifier in each of their mouths, being like, "It's okay, you guys.
Not obliteration.
She's not. It's not
Just
obliteration.
recalibration.
She's not trying to call you out. She's not trying to like. It's none of that. It's just recalibration. Okay, guys.
If she would have just said, honestly, let's obliterate every slave owner, I would have said, hell yeah.
Yeah, but she can't.
How about that?
But she just cannot fathom upsetting.
I don't think it's her.
No,
It's
no,
the curator.
No, I mean the curator.
Oh, I don't know who it is. I don't think it's a woman. It might be. I think it was multiple people.
Okay, so I'm just thinking about the
Yeah.
other curator from the fashion one.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
No,
what?
this is a Boston contemporary art from
Okay.
Boston.
They,
Them, whoever they are.
yeah, we don't because we don't know.
This is what I
forgot
fucking
what I was
hate
gonna
about
say.
like, again, we've talked about this before, that like it's so annoying that so many artists who are from like marginalized groups, it's like every time you actually get to talk about something, it needs to be like sugar coated and made to be, we're not trying to suggest that you are or you were the bad guy.
Yeah.
Like
It has to
neither.
be-
Not even you were. They can't even say you were a bad guy.
Even though it's like heavily documented,
Which is like we are.
and proven. Yeah.
We still are. But we can't even say we were.
In the past,
In the past. We can't even say that. Like, this is what it feels like. And I'm like, I don't think it's her fault in any type of way. I think
I
it's
don't think
the
it's the artist.
curation and
Yeah.
whoever wrote the fucking description, because her work is clearly commenting on colonialism. Like, straight up.
like you could look at it and get that without the statement
Yeah. And
automatically.
I I'm gonna hope. I don't know, dude. I mean, I'm gonna hope that this is kind of
They just had to make it palatable, honestly. They didn't want to stir up shit.
yeah.
They
And it's
need it
like,
for
what's
their
the
white
point?
patrons,
What's the
white
point of
rich
even having
patrons.
that exhibition if you're gonna be approaching it that way? That's my question. With all of those exhibitions that I like go to, I'm always like, what the fuck is the point of even
Because
doing this?
it's just enough for like a rich white patron to be like, I am so aware of diaspora and colonialism and racism. Like I'm against that. I give my money to these institutions that support artists who are actively fighting against it. It's just enough for them to be like that,
yeah.
but not actually give them whiplash of like the true history and the grotesque, the actual hard hitting facts about it, you know?
Yeah.
They don't feel bad. It's not enough to make them feel bad, but it's enough to make them feel like I'm doing something about it.
Yeah, and like the thing is, I don't even feel like anyone. They don't even. I don't know. Because the thing is,
Not even like it's supposed to make people feel bad.
yeah. Because the thing is, if
but
you
just,
walk
like,
in and someone is just like saying like, uh, the slave trade was a thing, and it was done at the hands of all of these like countries, and you're part of that country right now,
Mhm.
right? So like, I would just go, well, yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of what are we debating this?
I know, like
Are we recalibrating?
yeah,
Like what
we
is
are
happening? Like we already know this was a thing,
Yeah.
and it is a thing in a different form now. But it's like, don't you? What do you mean? Are we new here?
Yeah, I feel like so much of it has to like this like finicky wording just has to do with funding and money, and I don't know, it just seems like that cuz yeah, why? Cuz I even think for like a normal person, consumer of the arts, they're not going to be shocked by that, you know? If you go in like yeah, America and Canada, yeah, we do be colonizing. No one wants to say anything real because it's just too, maybe it's too controversial. I don't know. At this point, I'm like, is it really though? People are saying more vile shit online. How did they say it in the end of the curation statement?
They said it ultimately Baez's process of intervention is not one of obliteration, but rather one of recalibration.
Yeah, like that's obliteration and recalibration feels a lot
Like together. That's
Yeah.
what's like. That's what's kind of like
that feels
really
a lot more different than saying revision. You know what I mean? But it just like feels like she's trying to expose something that's been written out versus like recalibrating is like it's already there. I'm just trying to change it completely.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Like twist it into something else.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. You guys let us know what you think if you know about this artist, if you have any opinions on that. I don't know if she had any say in like final go ahead or not. So that's why I'm like, this is just like weird as hell because
Yeah.
technically like she is talking about colonialism, but then why the fuck are we being so cute and cuddly about colonialism and slave trade and stuff like that? I don't think there's anything that you should be walking on eggshells
About I don't think you
about.
should recalibrate any
There's
of that.
nothing to recalibrate. There is some stuff that you should record the fact that it happened, but maybe obliterating those people isn't a bad thing. Obliterating people who believe that that was chill is not a bad thing.
Maybe the curation statement is saying, oh, obliterate. She's not trying to obliterate the history, like the history of colonialization, but trying to recalibrate it so we understand it in a more holistic way. But just
Mayhaps,
but like when you read it, it just doesn't come off that way at all.
It's a critique of the curation, and I'm wondering why the hell so many people read that statement and didn't go ooh at the end. You know, like are we? Is that what we're saying? Because if that's what they're saying, okay, at least it's accurate, I guess.
Not saying that this artist is doing that, not saying that, but it's just like from our experience being in art school and also experience like on hand with some artists too.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people who will actually, we know a couple people who do this, unfortunately.
yeah.
There are a lot of people who will use a hall pass to make art so that they don't really get critiqued for it. Like there's certain things like, oh, I'm a queer artist and I'm gonna make this shit art, but because it's about being queer, you can't say anything about it. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like this like protection.
Yeah.
Some people use it as that.
Yeah.
You know, like race or like class, but they don't truly understand it. You know what I mean?
It's also, you
Or,
know what, like I oftentimes when I went to exhibitions, I was always like
tokenism.
yeah,
you know?
yeah, it's tokenism.
Yeah,
I
it
think
is. It
at least
is.
in like again, I don't know fucking terms for every single thing that I see. This is just my experience of being like running into issues
Mm-hmm.
with understanding kind of like what the fuck is going on and being kind of like, okay, what the hell is happening? Because, for example, every time I go to a gallery and they're showing somebody who's from the Middle East, I ran into this issue a couple of times when I realized that it's a Middle Eastern artist who maybe they're like omitting some parts of their artistic practice
Mm-hmm.
to but everything that's going to be in that gallery is definitely going to be fitting into the Western narrative about Arab people,
Yeah.
even when it's like, no, they're human, but they're fighting back against
Mm-hmm.
their backwards ways.
Ways. Yeah,
And
like
that they're like they were actually happy that we helped them out. But you know,
yeah.
like oh,
Yeah.
they were happy that you destabilized them. That's what it
Yeah.
is. Okay.
They're like, "Oh, we saved them from being in this like system and now they have this broader perspective of the
They're fighting that good
fight."
fight.
Which
You
is
know,
why, yeah, which is why curation, you guys, you gotta pay attention to that because
that's why
sometimes
you have to pay. And
it's
like, we're just gonna tell you this because it's kind of like a cheat code. Because it takes a really long time. At least it took a really long time for me to realize that even though someone is from that place, sometimes they're actually the type of people who like profit. For example, their parents are doing something that is like they're politicians or something like that, or they're
mm-hmm.
like business owners. It's kind of like meeting Russian people who are like really pandering to like the idea that you have of Slavic people, like negative ideas about it, and then you realize that they're oligarch babies, and you're like, oh, okay, of course you're gonna be saying all that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like specifically, I think that the reason why I started to notice it more is because I started seeing exhibitions, like for example, exhibitions from Pussy Riot, where I was technically speaking, these people, if you know their history, one of them who was in jail for a few years
Yeah.
because of protesting Putin and stuff like that. She actually talked to Chomsky, like they sent each other letters about different types of like socialism and other things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the girl is not dumb.
Yeah.
And the girl is not like she knows that the West is not doing a great thing either. She
Mm-hmm.
knows that it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But then when you go to the exhibition, and it's either they themselves omitted just so they can have that platform and have their work in the gallery, or the curator forcefully picks and chooses, and it's
Yeah.
up to them. I don't know who's the last word in that whole situation, but 100% you get this weird picture when you're like, oh wait, this isn't the full picture of who that artist is.
Yeah.
And also, this isn't accurate in a way of what they actually,
The
what kind of impact they have back home.
Yeah.
So
Or, like,
it's
what
like,
they really intended with the work.
yeah. And it's like really weird because the way that they're positioned is very much this pink pussy hat kind of feminism,
Mm-hmm.
which is really interesting considering that these bitches were literally put in jail.
Yeah, it wasn't that.
Yeah.
It wasn't
And like
that,
reading
sis.
her letters to Chomsky, I was like, so she's not dumb.
Yeah, she's not riding the West's dick either.
No. But then
Like,
at the
just like
same
how she
time, it's
resin-
like,
she's
you are here and you are making this exhibition that's very reductionist in terms of the view, in terms of realization. Like, it's genuinely pandering to that liberal idea of every country is full of just stupid people who ended up in those situations because they chose something bad. And not because they were like there was like funding of the far right or something like that. Like it's like this very kind of riding the Western dick kind of thing, while at the same time it feels like more of a kind of like an omission. And I don't know whose fault it is. I don't know if it was if they were doing it because they needed the money to do other things or whatever.
Yeah,
if they were
which-
agreeing to it just so they could actually have a platform.
Yeah.
Because clearly if they don't do it somewhere, they can't do it anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know, because the thing is, I know that if I were to have like my work in some kind of like exhibitions or something like that, I know for a fact that the only way I could even get one is if I were to make my message more palatable, like
Yeah, for the place that you're
exhibiting
in.
Yeah, like if I were to
Sorry for that visual about the riding the dick part. Hate saying it, but sometimes it's the only, for lack of a better word.
I think so, honestly, because like to me that's like what they are doing.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to please them.
Yeah, because
So
of course
hard.
it's like you want to, or I mean, it's a subconsciously, consciously, I would say consciously, curators want to put work in their galleries that supports their overall vision, or the people who fund them, their overall vision.
That's the thing. That's the thing. And I'm like, okay, well, what the fuck is the point of even having art at this point?
Yeah, because it's not saying anything for real.
It's not saying anything for real. And even if I don't agree with something someone is saying, if it would have been for real, instead of always fitting in that narrative specifically, like they kind of go, well, here's this artist from Iran. It's supposed to be like revolutionary because it's an Iranian artist. And then you look at their work and you're like, why does it feel like I'm watching like an American's installation or something like that? And it is because it's genuinely, it's either the artists themselves, or like when you look into them more, you're like, you just be saying shit that like the Westerners want to hear. Like you don't have any insight. You seem to be really far removed, and then you find out that they grew up somewhere else and they just like went there a couple of times to like just get the, you know, like the street cred. It's literally street cred.
Yeah, it's a street cred. It's kind of like how I got so tired of like getting bullied all the time at school that I just ended up making a work about my hair, like the country of my ethnicity. I'm not even born there, bro. That's the only perspective they want to see from me about what, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you seen that film? And there was a book, and I can't remember the name, but recently D'Angelo Wallace talked about it in his videos when he was talking about the book, like one of the books, and it's basically about a black writer who was having a really hard time getting his book released, and then he was like talking to another writer, and he was like, this is like tokenism, and she was like, yeah, and both of them realized that both of them are kind of like in this situation where the only way that they can actually have their stuff produced is if they have like fill that Western and white idea of what they're supposed to be talking about and how they're supposed to be talking about their race.
Yes.
Like, and I can't remember the fucking name, but it was like, it was, because I haven't seen it yet, but I was like, oh my God, this feels like literally like looking at my own, like at people here who come, like their parents came from Soviet Union and they're using it when in reality they don't even know what they're talking about sometimes, or they do know and they're saying it on purpose just so they can have a platform. And sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I can even, like, I don't know, like I'm judging when it comes to Russian people and stuff like that, because like I can judge it.
Yeah.
Obviously I can't speak on the like black experience. I don't fucking know anything about that. I'm also a foreigner, just if you guys forgot. As if I don't say that all the fucking time. But it's like really interesting to hear it because it feels very like vaguely familiar on how like watching your own people creating artworks that don't speak to your experience because you have to fucking dick ride the institution to get even just a crumb
of like,
because
exactly.
I will be shut out entirely out of the system if I don't do it. And like especially with like, for example, with my views, with my political views, with my views on the art and stuff like that, I didn't even know what my political views were when I was in university. And there was already so much tension and so much friction because I couldn't fit into their ideas.
Yeah, their mold of like,
because I was kind of like, I found all of their art so disturbingly gross because of how much they're like up their own asshole, and how much even the people who are representation of the marginalized people, they have to mold themselves to be the same thing, maybe with a different coding or something like that, just so they can fit.
It's just like so insane. Like the only way they want to understand your culture is if you primitivize it, versus like the amount of critique and like angry people I got from talking about my like class and like how I grew up financially struggling was insane when I had that, when I commented on that.
Yeah, like one of the professors, not even one, I had a lot of problems with a lot of professors who were, the only professor who was okay with me turned out he was an anarchist.
Loved it. I had the same.
You already know who he is.
He's
the only one who was okay with me because he turns out he's an anarchist. Everyone else, and I didn't know because, bitch, I've told before that I didn't have like an understanding of where I am exactly on the political spectrum, because I thought when I moved here, I thought I was a liberal.
Yeah.
And obviously not a fucking Republican let's be clear, because I know that people here are very much thinking in the binary of like either you're a liberal,
I mean,
or
I had that exact same thought too.
Yeah,
That's
I was like,
I always thought that
I'm not a Republican, so
I'm a liberal.
I'm liberal. Like, who else are you gonna be? Or not a Republican, but conservative, right?
Yeah.
Because we have conservative and liberal, and Americans have Republican and Democrat. And I was like, well, I must be the other thing, because I'm definitely not fucking
because you're
Republican. And then quickly or slowly realizing that every single view that I have is apparently too leftist for every single fucking liberal I was around. And I was like, oh, so you guys don't actually mean that you're different.
Yeah. I mean, I had that same problem.
Every single policy, because I was like, when I started to actually realize that my views can be like, they're kind of like, they are aligned with different policies. So for example, I think that healthcare is a right, like a human right. So immediately you then are aligned with the policy of having healthcare be implemented as a public service, right? So when I started to realize there's like alignments with my life opinions and political like reflections of it in society, I was like, oh, so I don't agree with you guys, I guess. Because like, what do you mean it's not a human right? What do you mean it's not a human right to have education?
It always confused me, because I mean, I had that
it was like this kind of like, what is it called when it's like, it's kind of incongruent, but there's also like another word that kind of like it's kind of like constant misalignment that I was experiencing, where I was like, wait, that's not what this is.
Like I mean, when I was like doing my work about capitalism, essentially, because it was,
well, I didn't know that I was making work about capitalism, but yes, I was.
No, but
that was my experience.
No, but mine was like fully, I was aware of making anti-capitalism art.
I wasn't. I was just like, it just turned out to be like, I was just talking about my life, and I was like hating on all the same things. I just didn't know that, honestly, like that's what the umbrella was.
Yeah. I mean, like when I was really in my bag, like when I was like really developing my thesis and like what my sorry, gag, cringe, when I was really like thinking about, when I was really in my bag in art school at that point, I knew what I was doing, and I got so much hate for it. It was insane. Okay, yeah, because I brought up some touchy subjects, like, I don't know, the rich 1%. Okay, how majority of them are.
How is it touchy though? That's what was so shocking to me. Like, genuinely.
How I mentioned, like, a lot of them are rich white people on the West Side, maybe come from shady backgrounds, seeked asylum from some shady business, if you know what I'm saying. Like, I would be very like obvious about that, and I got so much critique from that. They're like, I'm like, this is my experience. Like, my parents are immigrants, and we suffered tremendously financially, even though I was born and raised here. You know what I mean? But the hate I got from that. But the love I got from making an artwork that's like,
here,
the rice paddies of my people that got flooded.
They were all really annoyed that I was an actual Russian. Like, not a person who's like, I'm a Russian, but like,
yeah, it's like you
like, I kind of am, but like, I'm gonna let me actually talk shit about everyone, as if they're not people.
You want to understand, like,
let me dehumanize my own people.
Yeah, you want to understand my like me as a person by my ethnicity, but you don't want to really know about the intersectionality with like,
you don't want to know actually like what it means.
Yeah, what it means. You just want
a story of how happy I was. How grateful I am to be here. Literally. They don't want to hear that, like, for example, like, they don't want to hear the story of the parents being like, I fucking hate that I had to choose this for my kids to maybe have a chance at a better life. Because the fact of the matter is, like, it's not something, first of all, it's not something you want.
Yeah.
To like drop your culture, your language, and whatever.
Yeah.
Second of all, the fact that they think it's like kind of admirable and desirable and normal that a whole generation needs to put their lives down on the ground, basically, like, just like bury themselves.
They have to debase themselves.
They have to debase themselves. They have to basically, like, they glorify this idea that all of these people, this for like, not first gen, but the immigrants are spending their entire lives being slaves, just with the fancy new word.
Yep.
And then their kids are first gen and they can have a chance like any other person here or whatever the fuck. And it's like, no, I don't want my mother to work herself to death.
Yeah, which is like,
And then me walking around being like, I'm so thankful we got a chance to do that. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
so thankful my mother has to be
work-
doing this.
yeah.
You're right. You're right. Like, are you insane?
yeah, and it's actually kind of sad too in retrospect now. Even like, you know, I think
Well,
like,
to me, it's not that I'm actually an immigrant. I'm not even close to being a first gen. So yeah.
but like for me it's like kind of sad now, because even in university I still kind of had this like lingering hope of like, I'm gonna be able to take care of my family, you know. And now I'm here 4 years later, literally, guys, applying for welfare. Literally applying for welfare.
Dude, oh my God, I literally had like this screaming match with this dude, this professor. He was not like a prof in the sense of like actually having a PhD. He was just like a kind of like guest teacher or whatever the fuck. And he is now like in one of the galleries like in New West or whatever. And I had a screaming match where he almost cried, I almost cried. Like it was a whole thing after class. Like we actually were always kind of getting in the tiff in class, and then it was after class because he's like this like white guy who's like, I think that he might be 40 now or something like that. Yeah.
Fuck that man.
I know.
I don't like him either.
And I was just like, I told him, I was like, I want to learn when I'm here in classes. The reason why I even went to school for art is because I wanted to get skills, not just in terms of like coming up with art or whatever the fuck. I wanted to know real life skills of how I can make this to be self-sufficient enough that I'm not a burden on my family. Like I know that it's like a far-fetched dream or idea that I could actually be like creating something that would be enriching people's lives but also be able to make money. I know that it's a far-fetched idea,
Which is
I just want to be able to, considering I know that like there's people who are like nurses and whatever. I know that I'm not even trying to make money, like thousands of dollars of stupid shit. I just want to be able to pay for my own existence, right?
Yeah,
so that's
like at least make it worth my parents' time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So I was like, dude, the reason why I'm always asking you in class, like, how can I actually do this or how can I actually do that? He doesn't have an answer because you just have to know somebody who's like friends with your parents, because they're all rich. Not because they just know each other, but because they're all rich and they want to keep the money in the family. And like, obviously he's gonna not gonna fucking tell me this, right? And I was having this screaming match with him after class where I was like, I understand that you're a Canadian, you grew up here. And he was like, I'm still not making, like, I still don't make money. Like, I can't pay my own, you know, like rent and whatever. And I'm like, yes, but you have. And I was like, yeah, but can your parents do it? Like, and he's like quiet. And I'm like, yeah. So you're talking to somebody who's actually in the situation where I want to help my parents so they don't work themselves to death. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I cannot be making at least a certain amount of money so I can take care of myself, I am actually putting that pressure on my family, and I feel bad for it. So that's why I'm asking for help from people who are in a position of power like you to explain, as a teacher, right? To explain how you got here, for example. How do you teach here?
Yeah.
Right?
Like, at the very least.
But
talk
I think
about
that he's coming from like a background where like his parents can help him, and the reason why he's like mad is because he can't do it himself. So he's like, well, I don't make money, why you should be making money? And it's like, well, the whole problem is that if we're gonna be doing this at all, this should be self-sufficient in some kind of way.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, it's such an ego thing for him, honestly.
Yeah, and he was kind of being like, well, I'm a starving artist. And it's like, you're not a starving artist, because when you're starving, you're starving. When I'm starving, I'm making my whole family starve. Do you understand that? I cannot do it. I can't put that type of mental pressure and this type of heart pressure on myself. Yeah, because I can't do it in good conscience.
Yeah, it's soul crushing.
That's why I'm asking you now, because I know I'm gonna be in this position later. I'm asking for help from people who are making money in this industry to explain to me how you can do it. So I making this selfish decision to be in the arts You know, but especially like now, considering that the economy is like this, I know a lot of people who are like fucking bioengineers and can't find a job.
Yeah,
Like I know that we're all in the same
absolutely.
boat now, so like I'm not telling you guys that it's just like art's problem.
Yeah, it's like a
Now it's a problem for
for
everybody,
everyone, every field.
because now we have enough people who are lower class who have become educated because they put their whole entire life into it to get education, and now all the people at the top are like, shit, they actually did do the thing that we told them to do, but we still can't make them not slaves, because the whole point is that we need slave labor.
Yeah.
There's no way this system can keep itself together if the lower class is not being fucked in the ass daily. There's no way it's gonna work. It's just not gonna happen, you know. And I remember that like he was like so pissed off that I was asking this question, and that I was like telling him like, you do know that us choosing this path is selfish, and that's why I'm trying to prepare the ground for me for after school, because if I'm gonna do this, I need to make sure that I'm not putting that life pressure
That-
onto my mother.
Yeah, like this was my choice, and you don't want to pass it on. The
Yeah.
pressure of your choice on.
Because my mom is not gonna let me starve.
Yeah.
And I do love her for that and everything, but I don't want to put that pressure on her because I made a selfish decision.
Yeah.
Like, do you comprehend what I'm telling you?
Yeah.
Do you know what love is?
It's
That's a simple question of, do you know what love is?
Yeah, there's nothing more soul crushing, and like I don't have a good relationship with either of my parents, but I will, I will always respect them for, being like, yes, I want my kids to have an education. I
Yeah.
want them to go to university. Although I was the only one who went to university, like I'll always respect them for that. But like even for me, who like I don't have a good relationship with my parents, like even for me to see them finally realize that the American dream is not real was pretty like soul crushing. They're like,
Yeah.
why? I left my whole fucking family. Both my parents have degrees. Like both of them had careers, good careers back home. I left all of this shit, everything that mattered to me, ripe age of 20, for this.
I know, and like, I was like talking about that with my grandma, and my grandma was like, well, maybe if you guys wouldn't have moved. The problem is that this is a disease everywhere. There's nowhere to run.
Yeah.
That's the problem. When we talk with my mom about it, I'm like, there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Because there's no other option. They did not give us an option because it's not just about us being from a particular background or something like that. The problem is that there's only one system.
Yeah,
it's capitalism.
that's exactly
and
what
that's
I was
the
gonna
only
say, too.
option you have. You are participating unwillingly in a system that requires inequality, that demands it.
Yeah, I'm not even saying that like if we stayed there that it would be better for them, but just the belligerent fantasy that was force fed into them,
Yeah,
being like you will have a better
it's still
life.
force fed to people back home, and when it's not this, it's the opposite of like heightened nationalism with like a hint of fascism mixed into it, because it's a capitalist country that benefits off of the fact that 90% are slaves and they want it. If you hate Putin, maybe consider that you should be hating all of the motherfuckers that are in charge of your country here too, because stay consistent.
Yeah.
Policy wise, stay consistent in terms of being mad for what they do to us everywhere. And I think that the reason why we can like talk about it and we can understand it is because not only did we have the experience of like this type of double cultural background, but also because we didn't like, there's a lot of people who we know who are technically close to us in the position, but they still don't get it. And it's because they are the type of people who could be literally buried up to here, up to their fucking throat in shit by their government, by oligarchs, and they will still say that this is great just because the guy who's at the top, who's shooting blindly around, hasn't hit them.
Yeah.
They will genuinely be like, actually, the reason why I didn't get hit by this bullet is because I am so perfect and great and I've worked so hard, not
I've done
because they're
everything
lucky.
right.
Because the guy at the top is doing it blindly. He's just blindly using AK-47, just going like whatever. Yeah, just going whatever. Doesn't give a fuck where the bullets land. But when he misses you, it does not mean that you're so special, perfect, and you did everything right.
Right.
It just means that you got lucky.
Like even you know, when like me and Lisa met, which is like so crazy because like I grew up in Canada, you grew up in Russia, like you're an immigrant, and then my parents are immigrants, but like there's so many like, you know, we could be like two prime examples of like having done everything we could have done in both of our positions perfectly to the T. Never met anyone who's worked harder. Never like went to university, got amazing grades, worked
Met
hard.
people who worked as hard,
Yeah.
but never harder.
Yeah, fucking worked our asses off. Been working,
Perfect grades.
paid everything ourselves.
Paid everything ourselves. Worked 60 hours a week on 2 jobs in the summer without fucking like
And doing school at the same
doing
time.
school at the same time during the year when you're working a full-time job. In a fucking, by the way,
and still being
in, what is it called, in a sweatshop. I was working in a sweatshop in my first year of university or something like that.
Me too.
What is it called, like you know, like TJ Maxx,
like a distribution center.
no, it was actually, maybe it's considered to be that, I don't know, but it was basically like putting tags on, putting like different types of shit. It looks like a sweatshop. It is a sweatshop. They time you.
I did that exact thing.
They time you, and they are
for a very
genuinely
famous
walking
Canadian
around
brand.
between the rows, and I mean it. It looks like those like sweatshops that you see pictures of from China.
Yeah, where
that
you just
you
all in
constantly point to.
you're
and go,
all in a row.
China. It happens here, and I was working there.
I was also working in that exact same
Hello,
situation.
and this girl was born Canadian.
Yeah.
So I'm just telling you guys, on top of that all, and we're gonna get into those numbers and stuff like that, statistics, more in another episode because we're already at an hour. But I wanted to mention that just in case you guys don't realize what's going on and you think you're alone, especially like I'm talking about Canada right now because I'm Canadian, so I know more about the numbers in Canada. Again, because people sometimes think that it's like that I'm criticizing Canada more just because I'm like dick riding Russia or something like that, and it's like, bitch, I don't dick ride anybody because all of you are the same.
Yeah, like if you're playing this binary game, buddy,
like
sit
buddy,
down.
you need to wake up.
Wake up.
You need to wake up. The binary that we're playing now is either apocalypse or revolution.
Yeah,
I don't know what to tell you.
That's it.
We're in a bad situation.
Literally, every fucking power right now, like country who has like we're all the same. It's the same fucking system. It's all capitalism. I'm sorry.
And the whole thing is like, just letting you know, if you're Canadian, they tell you usually how much people make, the average wage in Canada. The reason why you shouldn't look at the average wage in Canada and you should be watching out for the median is because the average counts in the billionaires, our millionaires, people who are making disproportionately more money, okay? And disproportionately less money. But with median, they take all of us and they look at what is the most common income, like what is the most commonly earned, based on like not like, oh, if we take all the millionaires and we take all the people who like make really little, and then you put them all together and it turns out to be 60K. That's not actually the reality. You know what the reality is? Do you want me to tell you? In BC, which is one of the provinces that actually doesn't make as little as other provinces, because there's at least 3 provinces that make about 6,000 less a year, by the way, just letting you know. So for BC province, British Columbia,
and I think we are the most expensive city in Canada.
We are the most expensive city in Canada. The average income, or not the average, the median income, so the most common income for a person here is $42,000 a year. Canadian.
You guys,
do you understand how little that is? That's literally 30K USD.
There was literally a stat like maybe 2 or 3 years ago of how much you need to be making to live a comfortable life.
Not even a few years ago. I just looked it up three days ago. So the not even comfortable. That's just living wage. Living wage, okay? Living wage is calculated by you just calculating if one person is living alone, them getting 1-bedroom apartment, or even sometimes they even count a studio, but basically having shelter, food, being able to pay for medical, the basic stuff, like for example like
your
dentist and stuff like that,
needs.
but only basic stuff, like nothing fancy. For example, they count in maybe glasses on average, or like seeing a eye doctor once a year, but not context, because contexts are a luxury. Just saying.
Yeah, seeing is a luxury.
Seeing is a luxury, yeah. So just like living wage, and this is not minimum wage, because those are two different things, baby. Living wage in Canada is $52,000. This is the government counting the bare minimum.
Like the bare minimum,
And
guys.
you know the government is not going to add frivolous shit into that calculation because they don't want to be paying more than they have to. So this calculation is the minimum you have to be making to be able to live and pay for yourself in this country. And the median income, the most common income in this country, is $42,000.
So $10,000 less to meet your basic need.
20% below the minimum. Do you understand what's going on?
That's insane.
Are you computing this? And the issue that I have right now with a lot of Canadian people that are around me is that many people, because they feel this pressure, they start moving further right on the political spectrum, thinking that the reason why we're here is because of the liberals. And the problem here is that both liberals and conservatives are on the right side of the political spectrum. And the conservatives are straight up Nazis. I know that it's news for many of you, but I'm just gonna let you know that this is what Nazis were doing, just in case you didn't know.
Yeah, just like,
This is exactly what they were selling us back then, okay? And second of all, the liberals are barely any different. So close together, in fact, that
they just
nothing
have a nice,
changes.
Yeah, they just have a cute little veneer. You know?
This is all theater. They switch from one to another and nothing changes because the system is built to do this. When I say the system is rotten to its core, I don't even mean that it's rotten in the sense of that it's not functioning. No, it is functioning. It's functioning exactly how it was built. It was built by people who had residential schools, who had these camps, who were creating this disproportionate, poverty. And this is what it was supposed to be doing, and it's doing the thing. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's working like a well-oiled machine. The problem is the machine.
Period. It's crazy how scared people are to even consider anything else than capitalism. Dude, this is exactly what they want, guys.
They will jump off a cliff before they think of anything else. And the craziest thing is that you think about it and I don't even give a fuck, honestly, what kind of solutions anyone has or whatever. I do, but we can talk about it later. The problem right now is that even if we talk about the most basic thing, for example, healthcare, and the fact that most Canadians, especially those that are in the demographic of 21 to 29 years old, 21 to 34 years old, don't have family doctor.
Yep.
Cannot reach a family doctor just to see them walk in within, they have to wait for a month to see one. And we're not even talking about specialists and MRIs and stuff like that. And when you talk about this, the amount of people, the amount of idiots, sorry to say, and I'm sorry to call you that, not you, but if you believe that, sorry to say, but the amount of people who hear that and they go, we need to privatize this shit is insane.
Yeah, I know.
They
think that's the solution.
This is so classic. I need you to understand that this is the classic system of making people agree with the 1%. You make any system that's public, for example, education, for example, healthcare, you make it so defunded that it doesn't function well anymore.
Yeah, the way it's supposed to.
People notice it, and then you tell them it's because it's public. People start supporting you because they see that it's not working. And it gets privatized, and people are starting making even more money off of people's misery. How do you think it's all becomes this way? Because you take the money out, you're sucking it out, you're putting it into the military, you're sending it to other places in the world to bomb children, and then you go around going, I can't even see a doctor. This must not be working really well.
Yeah,
and it must be because it's public.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I need you to understand that the reason why we're in this situation is because we're prioritizing weird shit. You need to look.
I love it's weird shit.
Yeah,
demonic shit.
Demonic shit. We need to genuinely, whenever you see a person, because the thing is, you could easily become whatever you hate. You could easily become one of those people who look at people who are sick and go, well, they don't deserve to live well, or whatever the fuck, just because like they can't work, for example, right?
Yeah.
You can easily become that if you are surrounded by people who say this type of shit, who pander that type of shit. But the worst thing is that the way that people become that is not through people shaming each other, but from people praising each other. So, for example, it feels really good to be accepted by your community. So whenever you start spewing the right type of hate, they will start being really nice to you. And that's how you get sucked into it.
Yeah, it's like exactly the same thing as what we were going through at school. You just have to tweak it a little bit.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're accepted.
You just have to understand who your actual friends are. People who believe that you, if you get sick, for example, don't deserve healthcare as a worker, a person who actually contributed to this society. Or even not as a worker, bitch, like you contribute to society by existing and being a person, and like
you're worth
loving your family, and
you
being,
are worth living.
You're supposed to be living. That's the whole point of why we even live in society together.
Yeah.
Why we even
it's just like
get along or like try to get along is because we had this built in order for us to be able to live even when we can't live on our own, like without the help. That was the whole point. Because we're all gonna be sick. I don't know if you heard, but you're gonna die.
Yeah.
And
it's inevitable.
It's inevitable. And you know, before death, there comes a time when you're kind of not able to do things anymore.
Yeah.
And it can happen at any point before you even earned your retirement. In quotations. So I just need you all to think about that before, like, because I know that you guys are not going to be thinking this way, because like our audience is not that type of audience where I would have to be even having this debate about rights, you know. But I know that there's a lot of people in Canada right now who are leaning right and thinking that Trump being elected is great. They genuinely think that we're not just rolling down the same hill whether we choose Kamala or Trump. They genuinely don't see that we're in a downward spiral.
It's crazy.
Collectively, the entire world, the entire planet.
It's crazy how my little mousy ears have picked up. I'm such an eavesdropper, I'm sorry. But like even the amount of like young people in their 20s who are voting conservative because they are falling into this trap is insane.
Because even Polyev, the way that he's talking about his, like the way that his campaign is looking right now, I keep on getting his ads because I think he's targeting young people. He's trying to get them to like vote.
Absolutely.
Because he knows that the young people are the ones who have the most pressure in terms of economic issues and stuff like that right now. So he's really targeting it the same way as military targets poor people. He's targeting poor people in the young generation right now to go for him instead of the liberals or honestly NDP or something left leaning, because we're all on the right side here, which is disgusting just to say the least. But it's crazy because like his ads, the way that he's speaking about it is like, I'm gonna axe the tax, I'm gonna make the groceries cost less. Somehow axing the tax is supposed to make the groceries cost less, when in reality you as a poor person, you don't actually get taxed as much when you don't even hit a certain amount. He's trying to cut the tax only for the rich people. Do you not understand that like when he's gonna be cutting the tax, your poor ass tax, it's gonna be the same. It's gonna stay the same, because the ones that they can cut are the taxes that they have implemented for really, really, really rich Canadians, who you are not one of. Just telling you, because even if you're living comfortably, even if it's your parents who are rich, not you, there's a very, very high chance you're nowhere near close those people that we're talking about. Just saying, figure out who your friends are. If you are a POC, those motherfuckers not your friends.
Yeah, they're not your
friends. I need you to understand that. They are not your buddies. Your buddies are people who are also working class or people who are contributing to society, not leeches like Elon Musk or someone like that.
And if you are buddy with these types of people, then you're selling all of us out. Honestly, you're
selling yourself out.
And other POC people, you're enemy number one.
You looking at a disabled person and saying that, oh, they don't deserve something or whatever the hell because I'm struggling and I work, is insane. Because once again, those people are the ones who will make you disabled early in your life.
Yeah, because you're working your life away.
You're working your life away for them to have another fucking yacht in Ibiza. Specifically say, you need to say it with that stupid ass fucking thing in the middle.
Seriously.
I'm being serious. And the reason why I can tell you this is because I was, you know, well off enough that, for example, when I lived in Russia, I was even sent to study in a private school in Cyprus. Then here, I'm super poor. And I can tell you, bitch, by looking at all of this, that the richest people are the dumbest, the laziest, the ones that don't do shit, the ones that constantly take money from their workers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you that this is the truth just because I've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, lived it, worked with people like that my whole life.
We have to rub shoulders with them every single day and pretend like we respect them. As if they are actually here because of their merit. We have to pretend like those bitches
Like
actually
they
have a
actually
brain.
worked hard.
Like you're talking to somebody who put in no effort because they were just born right into it. They were just like constantly getting these perks and this nepotism shit, and you have to pretend like you genuinely respect their work. Because there's no other photographer you can work with, for example, because it's genuinely just like choose this one or none.
Or none at all.
Because none of the other people that you actually like as people or artists can afford to be a photographer with a new camera, new lights, new this, new that, for example.
Or even just like bare minimum shit. Like I, as a worker at a pretty much a sweatshop, which I did do for years, by the way, like same as Lisa around university, which is so funny. We would have been such good friends.
I know.
Well, I mean, we knew each other. We
knew all of each other,
but we weren't close.
Yeah, we never actually like talked or anything like that. I feel like if we even would have had one conversation would have been enough.
Yeah, she's a real one. Like, no, seriously, like I would have to listen. Like I was working at packing, okay, like plastic for 8 hours plus a day because I would do overtime, 2 hours overtime almost every night. And you guys, I worked the graveyard shift, so after school,
damn.
And then I would work till 12 a.m. do it all over again.
I was working from 6 to 1, then I had school from 2, and I had to like get there, which took an hour. Then I had school from 2 to 8.
Yeah.
And then I did homework until 12, and then or even sometimes 2 a.m. or whatever a.m. Sometimes I didn't sleep at all, and then I would
so you're
wake
not
up again.
sleeping.
And why do you think I got cancer so early in life?
Yeah, I got a fucking autoimmune
Why do
disease.
you think I got it?
Yeah.
And by the way,
surgery.
On top of all of that, this is why we're honestly, I'm so glad that first of all that we found each other. Second of all, that we survived all this shit, and we're still surviving it. Don't get me wrong, because we're not not stable or anything like that. But
at all,
the fact that I like, for example, I lived through cancer and I have enough energy to fight for other people who don't have it anymore because they didn't get lucky enough to get something that is actually treatable. I swear to you, bitch, that I will not let those fuckers exterminate people who just got unlucky to get sick.
Yeah.
For their gain.
Yeah. Every time I have like intrusive thoughts, I just remember like there are so many people who died not wanting to die.
I know, but it's not only that. It's like we have a pact that we won't let capitalists kill us. And the reason why you can be suicidal from time to time is because life is so difficult because they're fucking you over.
Yeah, it's like how are like people are getting physically and mentally sick and no one sees it like to extreme degrees and no one's seeing it as a problem always just disturbs me.
It's always individual problem, not systematic. That's what they say.
Yeah.
But don't internalize that bullshit. And also, on top of all of that, this is why we were talking about this, that we are literally the nightmare of those motherfuckers that use stupid ass talking points day in and day out about why someone is on the streets or why someone is like not successful, why someone is under the poverty line or something like that.
Yeah, like how they used to explain it away.
Yeah.
I had a conversation like this recently.
Yeah, literally. Because both of us were excelling at everything that we're doing. Both of us survived whatever we were supposed to survive. We did everything. Like, for example, people are like, well, why don't you have a business to like side hustle? I have a business and I got it and started it, created it, and did it the right way 3 months after my cancer treatment.
Yeah.
So don't try me. That's the reason why whenever I talk to those people, they hate it. They hate talking to me because every single talking point doesn't work with me. They say things like, well, maybe you should have gotten an education. I did. Maybe you should have gone to a better college. I did. Maybe you should have done, maybe you should have lived with like roommates or whatever. I did. Maybe you should have worked while you were in school. I did.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have taken classes in the summer so you had shorter period and you didn't have to stay in school for 5 years. I did. Every single fucking thing. I did it. So I know for a fact that it must be the system. Sorry to say. And the fact of the matter is, whenever they're like, "Oh, you should have like been self-employed," that's how I make money now.
Yeah. I mean, I pretty much was doing freelance and my 9 to 5s, and I worked only for corporations. So like I don't want to work for a corporation. No one wants to work for a fucking corporation. And if you do, then you drank the Kool-Aid. But like I knew for a fact, first of all, my income wasn't enough, so I had to work freelance on the side, and I knew that I wouldn't survive there because my mouth always gets me in trouble. That's what it is.
Not only in trouble, because like the thing is, you just act like a person and they hate it.
Yeah, and they hate it.
Not even like, I don't mean like, oh, I'm human, so I'm imperfect or whatever. No, not even that. Not
Yeah,
even
that's
that.
not even what I'm talking
We're
about.
talking about just, for example, not being a dick
Yeah.
to somebody.
Or standing up for when you see
Or
microaggressions.
standing up against fucking racism or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, they get pissed at you about it.
Yeah.
As if they're not the ones who are constantly like, inclusive spaces, diversity. Oh, really now?
Yeah, and
that's
then-
why you're paying only the POCs in this group less than everybody else. You're right.
Yeah. Like that's what I mean. That's what I mean by when I say my mouth gets me in trouble. Like that's what I mean. Just standing up for what is actually right.
Just not taking it lying down.
Yeah.
They're already pissed about that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I should have been nicer about telling you that you're a dick.
Yeah. Oh, I should have just
sorry.
I should just let you treat me like a second-class citizen. Oh, sorry. Let me just okay.
Let me just do it real quick.
Like,
Sorry,
can we
I
just
was not a
restart?
perfect slave.
Yeah. Can we just restart? On the ground, on my knees,
Oh.
just like forehead to the ground. Okay. Now you can go.
Dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's already 1 hour and 20.
We like totally missed the subject.
We
Like,
had
were
a
gonna
different topic prepared, bitch.
We actually had such a good conversation about this before. That
Yeah.
I always tell Lisa, we should just start recording our conversation?
Like, as soon as we see each other, fucking press the record. Because, like, it's crazy how, like, good some of the convos are.
Yeah.
And it's, like, hard to recreate. But actually, we kind of slayed with this one.
Yeah. It was angry, but you
Low-key.
know what?
I am angry.
I am angry. Yeah.
What am I supposed to lie about it, bitch? Like, I can't.
Like, I'm not
can't.
exaggerating.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Like, I'm not even exaggerating over the fact that I have to apply for welfare. Like,
Yeah.
that's not. And I wish I could, like, because I just found out new information about, you know, like, affordable ways to get food and, you know, like the new welfare system and stuff like that. And I would love to share it with anyone who's in BC going through it. So let me know in the comments. I know most of you guys aren't from BC, but yeah, you know, whatever, just to put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm so sick and tired of feeling like I'm so sick and tired of not just being told this, but just like living in the feeling of like, if you're not productive, your life is not worth anything.
But also, like, you are, like, the thing is, all of those people who are like, I'm so productive, the people who are obsessed with productivity are usually the most useless people around. Never know how to do anything. Never know how to make anything. Their labor that they are offering is usually just air.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
they
say.
came up with. They just came up with the fact that they are a consultant of a consultant to the consultant. One of my fucking cousins became that, like, that consulting bullshit back home, and I'm like, God, that's embarrassing. Are you fucking kidding me?
Dude, I was just gonna say that's where I was going at about my job. Like when I would spend 10 hours a day packing boxes, rolling around like a heavy ass cart, just filling boxes for 10 hours. Once I like graduated university, I was like offered a office job, and then having to hear my managers who like for their whole career just sit in offices and are in meetings all day. Like just meetings all day. It's just meetings. Him just being like, yeah, I worked so hard for my $200,000 annual income. I'm like, and me coming from 4 years of physical labor, I'm just like, so what you're telling me is you're working hard is going into meetings
Just sitting there and listening
and
all
talking
day.
about leggings and shirts.
Leggings and shirts, or like being like, actually, let's circle back to this or whatever the fuck, and being a dick.
Just fucking jargon.
Genuinely just like, oh, you worked what 200 times harder than this other person
Yeah,
who
and that's
actually
why-
does real labor. If I take your labor, I just scoop it up out of this company and I put it outside of the company, it's gonna turn into air because it's not labor. It's not actually a
nothing.
thing. You didn't make a thing.
Yeah.
The woman who made that pair of fucking leggings did a thing.
So-
You, on the other hand, if I take your labor and I put it outside of this corporation that's paying you so much money for marketing to make your job real, or real in quotations, it's gonna become nothing
Yeah.
because you didn't actually do a thing. You didn't make a thing. It's a made up job.
Yeah. And that's why I'm so angry and tired of these people telling me what hard work is, telling me like what I need to do to make my life worth it, telling me, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do this? As if they know what it's like to struggle. Don't fucking tell me anything. You
Like
haven't.
them suggesting something when in reality those motherfuckers don't even know how to pay their own rent because
Yeah.
someone else is paying it is crazy.
Like, what do you know about welfare or the food bank or like payment assistance or debt collecting or fucking bankruptcy? You don't know shit, so don't tell me. So don't tell me when your definition of hard work is sitting there talking about fictitious fucking problems.
It's like fucking people talking about cancer to me, being like, maybe you should stop eating this particular type of sugar. Maybe it was this.
yeah.
Maybe it was I never smoked. I never drank. This is actually also the reason why people hate talking to me about cancer, because they realize, oh, cancer could happen to anyone. It can happen to me out of nowhere. Yeah, bitch, because you actually smoke and eat stupid shit and you drink and stuff like that more than I do. A lot more than I do. And yet I got it. That means that it could happen to you at any moment. It could be happening right now and you wouldn't even know it.
Yeah. Closing words. Don't let this world, these corporations, these people tell you that your life is not worth.
It's a
worth
pact,
it.
bitch.
Yeah,
We're making a pact.
Join the
Ho.
pact.
Hold the pinky.
Don't let them.
Don't let them kill you. And if you're gonna be dying, at least take one of them with you.
Yeah. Take one of them with you. Like, do not leave without a fight. You know what? Like, I used to tell this. I don't know where I developed this from, but even when I was like in high school, and like I would always tell my friends, like, even if you gave me nothing, I would still love you. Like, you can give me nothing and you would still, your life is still so worth it. You know, like, you don't have to produce fucking shit to be like, my life is worth something. Okay, so y'all remember that. You're joining this fucking pact right now.
Yeah.
We'll find you if
we'll
you
make
give
a
up.
chanty little song that's gonna be like a listing of all the things that we're promising in the pact.
Yeah.
Which is basically like, don't kill yourself because of capitalism. Do not let them drive you up the wall. The fact that fucking Canada sent people an invitation to MAID
It's insane.
is insane. Especially when they were in debt. They sent it because they were so in debt.
You have to explain what MAID is.
Oh, MAID is like medical assistance dying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bitch.
So euthanasia.
Yeah.
So euthanasia.
Euthanasia. Can you imagine? Basically, guys, it's a pact.
Yeah. Don't ever let these people
Because, bitch, if you promise, I promise.
if
You promise not to give up, I promise not to give
yeah,
up.
we won't give up.
If
We'll
you
keep fighting
promise,
for your-
if you promise to at least, if you decide to give up, at least fight for others until your life runs out, I promise to.
yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. Period.
Period poop. Anyway,
Yes.
thank you guys for listening. I hope you're having a good day. It's like, we're gonna be back with
Yeah.
more fun episode. Sorry to that commenter who was like, you bitches, if you say
yeah,
another
we're gonna
time,
just,
that you're
like,
gonna be
say
back
it.
with us.
We're gonna just say it every fucking episode.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Anyway,
we
have a
love you
good
guys.
day. Love
You're
you.
worth it. Keep fighting the good fight. And when we mean the good fight, we mean our fight, guys. Let's do this. Okay, bye.
Bye.